What's up, you guys? It is me, again, V.A. Moreno, at your service, associate producer for Dave Campbell's Texas Football. I am here today, and it's this great Thursday. I am joined with our very own, lovely Carter Yates, everybody.
One more time. I'm sorry. I'm in a sing-song mood today, VNA. I shouldn't be singing, but me and my man Greg Powers are going to the Two-Step Inn in Georgetown this weekend, so
Rev!
we're pumped for that.
What's up?
This is my third year going to Two-Step Inn.
This is my
What's up, V?
Any
going?
advice for me? This is my first time going.
You're going to want to dress warmer than you think, probably. Gets kind of chilly out there at night because it's kind of out in the open. And I think it's like a rain forecast this week.
Yeah, we're going to be in the trenches.
Yeah, so bring your poncho. But the grass and stuff there is nice. Like, it's not uncomfortable. It rained last year, and it wasn't a bad vibe at all, and I heard it's even better this year. They've done a tremendous job in Georgetown, like laying out the place, the park where they have the event, and they've got it all coordinated down to how many restrooms they need so you don't have to wait. Enough food vendors that you don't have to wait in line. Like, they have it. They've done some science behind it, and it was pretty efficient.
And the lineup looks awesome, too. It's going to be a stocked lineup of country music singers.
I nerded you guys out with, like,
Yeah,
here's the statistics about how you're not.
You gave us the whole rundown.
Hopefully those singers are better than I am, because I have never been known for my singing voice. Have I ever told y'all my choir story of when I joined the fourth grade choir for 1 year?
I'm dying to hear this.
And had an electric run. So, welcome into the pre-show before the free show. Here's my choir story.
Okay.
So when I was in fourth grade, I joined the choir because I wanted to go to main event, basically. And what I failed to account for was my voice is low and raspy, and it was like this when I was in fourth grade. Like, it did not change with puberty. My voice was just like this in a fourth grader's body. So one time before...
Can you imagine?
Before school practice, my teacher pulled me out of the room. She goes, "Carter, I think you need to get checked for polyps in your throat. Like, I think you have throat polyps, and it could be a serious condition. And I think you need to go to the doctor." And I went home and told my mom, like, "Mom, I got to get checked out for throat polyps."
Wow.
And my mom said, "Carter, your voice has always sounded like this." Like, "No, you're fine." A couple of weeks later, I keep belting my heart out, right? And then my teacher pulls me out of class again. She says, "Carter, I love your energy, love your enthusiasm. We need you to sing quieter. Like, you're singing too loud. It's overpowering the other kids. We need you to sing a little quieter. And look, we're asking Zach over here to do the exact same thing." And I go, "But Zach sucks. Like, why am I supposed to do what he's doing?" So it's not going well, my tenure in choir. It caps off with Merry Main Street in Frisco. You know, downtown Frisco, they have all the elementary schools come out, sing a song, and the biggest event of the year, right? This is our Super Bowl. Well, they set me up right by a boom mic, unfortunately. So we're belting out Frosty the Snowman. My parents are in the audience, and they say, "Something sounds awful. Like, something is off with this performance." I hear very nice children singing, and then there's someone's way off key. And my mom looks over and taps my dad and goes, oh my God, they have Carter next to the boom mic." And after the performance ends, all of my friends look around each other and go, "Guys, I don't think that was the best performance we could have had."
Oh, my goodness.
And I don't know what y'all are talking about. I think I killed that. That ended my choir career.
You retired after that?
Oh, yes, I did. I don't know if I retired. I was forced into retirement.
You're the best musician I know.
I appreciate that. That means a lot.
Honestly.
How many musicians do you know?
Not very many, but you have delivered over the last 2 annual cycles 2 of the greatest performances that I've seen. So I'll tip my cap to you.
I'm good at karaoke, not so good when there's not a backtrack going on.
You're a good performer. You're not just a decent you're a good karaoke performer. And
Yes.
I think that's important to the karaoke vibes.
Well, when your singing voice is as bad as mine, you have to make up for it with your
Compensating?
performances. Yes, way overcompensating.
How old were you at the time?
I was 10. 10 years old, voice sounded exactly like this.
They broke the news to you at 10 years old.
Yeah.
That's the story I tell. Is kind of different. I always just say that I was this big when I was 13. It's like, that I bloomed early. I was this big when I was 13. Like, those were the glory days.
Man, you used to be the best basketball player out there when you were that big and you're
Just
13.
bullying people in the paint.
All right, that'll wrap it up for the pre-show before the free show.
Let's go.
Roll it.
And first four through the door in 3, 2, 1.
Yes, y'all. From the Dave Campbell's mothership in beautiful Lewisville, Texas, I am your host, Carter Yates. This is Texas Football Today, your favorite mediocre local internet show. Whether you're listening to us live on YouTube right now or anywhere you get your podcast, thank you so much for supporting us. Making me sound all nice and purdy is VNA Moreno. And VNA, can we get a first four through the door before I forget?
Hey guys, yes, we had, I think it was BJWB, Jersey 69, and also we had Matt Stepp coming in. Got a lot of people saying hi today, so got a lot of action in the comments.
Beautiful on this Thursday to have a comment section full of people listening to some high school football talk. And to bring me the high school football talk is DCTF Director of Recruiting, Greg Powers.
What's up, man?
It's good to see you again,
We meet
brother.
again.
Who would have thunk it? Against all odds.
3 out of the last 4 Texas Football Todays, Carter Yates and Greg Powers.
God, I love it so much. So we're going to start off the show, guys, with doing a little high school football talk about Texas high school football teams who could win their first state championship in 2025.
I'm glad Matt Stepp's listening in case I say one that was wrong.
Yes, we have
it was like they have already won.
Yeah, we have a personal fact checker in the comment section, I know. So this was a April Fool's article we did April 1st. Like, don't be fooled, guys. These could be the teams that win their first title in 2025. Let's just run down 6A through 2A, Powers.
Let's do it.
My 6A pick, Humboldt Atascocita.
Okay.
And they have lost to North Shore in the regional finals, the 4th round of the playoffs, 4 years in a row. It's just absolutely brutal. They are one of the best teams in Houston. The problem is the first best team in Houston, they have to meet every year before they get to the championship game. Craig Stump has 10 winning seasons since taking over in 2012. One of those seasons that he didn't have a winning year was the COVID year, so doesn't really count. Do you think this is the year Humboldt Atascocita could break through?
Yeah, I definitely think this is the year, not only for what they're bringing back, right? Carde Mack is a spectacular player, but I think it's a good selection because this year Katy and North Shore seem to have some vulnerabilities. You know what? I think Katie's going to be pretty good. I think Katie's going to be pretty good.
I think that's a fair bet.
But I'm looking at this year as for Atascocita to get over that hump, to be able to beat North Shore in the playoffs or one of these big teams and advance to the state championship game, they have to pick up that marquee win, in December or late November. They have to win one of those big games, and just based on what their region's looking like, this is a team that could make it to AT&T.
Now, what do you think of Carde Mack as a high school football player and as a prospect? I know he's the quarterback for Atascocita. He's listed as a running back on 247. I think we have him listed as an athlete.
Yeah.
Right? What do you think about him as a prospect?
I think he could play running back at the next level. I think that's the spot that he's most likely to end up, or most naturally is going to fit him at the next level, is that running back position. And I don't know, we kind of talked about Atascocita in the office here recently, and him kicking back to the running back position permanently, how that could change their team and how could that open things up for them. And I think it certainly could make them more dynamic, because they have Blaylock's little brother, Trenton Blaylock, coming up as
He's
well.
First team all district, I'm pretty sure last year.
Yeah, and he's got some speed. So they can use him in the slot and do some different things. So I think that if they have a good guy under center, they can lean on Carde Mack in the run game, and then they have some speed to stretch defenses out. You're talking about having all the elements necessary on the offensive side of the ball to score enough points to be in all these big games. Now, my question is on defense, because that's what I feel like they have to play such a wide gamut of diversified offenses as their defense throughout the course of the season. So I think that they're tested in that region specifically. They're tested because there's such a variance of different offensive schemes that they're going to have to potentially match up against.
The good news is I think they feel better about their defense than their offense going into the season. Like, there's more experience coming back on the defensive side. You mentioned Blaylock. Also, Ravion Sauls is a monster at linebacker. So, like, Carde Mack's the headliner on that offense, but the defense, and Craig Stump, I believe, is a defensive-oriented coach. So they should be fine on that defensive side. I know you probably, not that you disagree with this pick, but you have another pick that you think could win their first state championship. Who is that?
Well, I say this is an alternate selection.
Alternate.
I think we would both agree that we're keeping an eye on Ridge Point this next season.
Yep.
And again, one of the questions for me at Ridge Point is what's going to happen under center. Because I feel like the players that they have around it right now are special at all positions. Both fronts are really good. They have skill players at all the important positions who are good. And their back seven is extremely impressive on the defensive side of the ball. Ridge Point has a lot of the right things clicking and going in the right direction. This is my sneaky sleeper team, I feel like, in 6A. I guess, is it fair to call Ridge Point a sleeper team? I caught a lot of flack for giving UNC as a Cinderella team I don't want to pick another big favorite and say Ridge Point's a sleeper, but a state championship sleeper, maybe?
I think so, because I'm going to pull up what they've done the last few years. They're always so good in the regular season, but they went 10-2 last year. 11-2 in 2021, 10-3 in 2022. So they're always kind of getting to the second or third round of the playoffs before they get knocked off somewhere in a really tough Houston area. But I think that's a sleeper team for a state championship.
Dude, they're so loaded.
Avery
Morcho,
really
Hugh Smith, Preston Hall, Romare Smith, Jordan Burnett committed to TCU. Bryson Dawsett, Mason Dawsett's little brother coming up, is a speed demon. And then, you've also got guys coming out of the Robert Haynes. We're just now talking about this guy with double-digit offers in 2026 at wide receiver.
And he's the sixth guy you mentioned.
Yeah, I think Arkansas offered him this week. And then Aaron Williams coming up as a younger guy, just picked up his first offer here recently as well. A guy that people don't even know about yet. There's some dudes on this team.
Yeah, so that's going to be a really exciting Houston area 6A to watch. Humboldt, Atascocita, Fort Bend, Ridge Point. Let's move it on down to 5A. This is also a couple alternates you can select here. I'm going to go with who I picked, who I wrote about in the story. Maybe it's because I'm a Frisco guy. I'm going Frisco Lone Star Rangers to break through and win their first state championship this year. Powers, can we just run down some of the prospects we have? Before you do, I want to remind people that Frisco Lone Star in the late 2010s, they had Marvin Mims, who's OU's all-time leading receiver, Nick Bolton, who's a Super Bowl champion linebacker on the Kansas City Chiefs. Trey Taylor was a Thorpe Award winner at Air Force, and Ashton Genty, who was in the Heisman running. I think this is kind of the second Lone Star dynasty. Not that they ever won in the late 2010s, but they were as competitive as a Frisco school has ever been. And I think this is kind of the second iteration of those late 2010s Lone Star teams.
Yeah, they were right on the edge of picking up that state championship win. I think Highland Park got them.
Yep.
They were closest. Jeff Rayburn has done a tremendous job there, not only developing talent within that program, but these guys have been successful when they've been on to college. And that tells me that they're not only great football players, but they're being coached exceptionally well at the high school level. So tip of the cap to those guys over at the Rangers program who have dedicated themselves to making that program better. But I agree with you 100% because this team has everything that you're looking for. They've got size up front. They're pretty talented. Their secondary is amazing. And I'm a pass defense guy. When you're talking about winning a state championship or potentially winning a state championship, I look at pass defense first. I think if you can get after the passer and get some pressure on him, but have the dudes at the back end to not give up those big passing plays, that is one of the things that I look for in a state championship quality team. And they have it because Jordan Deck is a freak. He's like one of the best center field safeties that I've covered in the last 10 years, and he has tremendous range back there. But on the offensive side of the ball, Carice Hoyt, Ryder Mix, Davian Gross, those are some names to know. Gross is one of the top-rated guys in the entire state, has over 20 scholarship offers, and Carice Hoyt is only going to get better with time. And Ryder Mix might be the state's best tight end.
Yeah, and Carice Hoyt had 4,855 yards and 35 touchdowns as a sophomore. He was
Isn't that nuts?
MVP. Yep.
And he's a legit bulldozer in the run game. He has speed to like run by guys, but I love that he has that blue collar, I'm going to run you over when I have to mentality.
He's like a Carice Hoyota truck.
Yeah.
Going in inside zone QB power. Davian Gross, too, is a guy who Jeff Rayburn had said before, like, could be the best Lone Star football player when it's all said and done if he stays healthy. What do they have in this guy as a running back, as a wide receiver? For people who aren't familiar with Davian Gross, what's he like as a player?
He burst onto the scene as a running back, but he was a taller running back, probably a little bit shorter than what some Texas high school football and college football fans will remember out of Lil Jordan Humphrey at South Lake Carroll. But I think that's a fair comparison because I think Gross will play mostly wide receiver when he gets into college, and he is a great pass catcher out of the backfield. That's something that he's had in his skill set since day one, and he's continued to become an improved receiver, not only when he comes out of the backfield, but when he splits out wide. And that brings a certain level of, I don't know, just keeps defensive coordinators on their toes as they try to scheme this team up because he can be moved around or shifted around, before the snap at any moment, right? And then you have Hoyt, who you have to contend with. You really have to spy Hoyt all the time because if you don't, he'll make you pay. So the fact that you could shift Dave around and do some different things with him makes them like really dynamic.
Do you have an alternate team you'd select here?
I know you. I'm stealing your. I know this was a pick that you probably were wrestling with.
I had two contenders here, and I almost had to flip a coin on who I picked. And in the end, I went with Frisco Lone Star, but this team was right there.
We'll get to talk about both of them then. Carson White at Iowa Colony. He's like one of my difference makers in all of Texas high school football, and he has a great wide receiver to throw open, Jaden Warren. Really fun. One of the fastest guys at over, around 6'2", 190 pounds. He's a big receiver, but Carson White deserves special mention, right? He's one of the state's most fun high school football players. And if I had to hang my hat on like somebody who could actually in 5A, because there's so many good players, you really don't look at it as like a league that one player can make a difference. But if there is one guy that can make a difference to me, it's White.
And Ray Garza deserves so much credit for what he's done at Iowa Colony. 2022, their first year as a varsity program, they go 2-7. The last 2 years, it's been 12-1 and 12-2, and that's in a really tough district with Fort Bend Marshall and Richmond Randall. So they'll have to get out of that tough district and try to grab that district championship to get that 1 seed. But I could see this program making a run at the state championship in their 4th year as a varsity program. You already saw Richmond Randall do it last year in their 3rd year as a varsity program.
And Iowa Colony played probably Richmond Randall the toughest last year, I think. I think what did they play him? They lost to him twice.
Yeah, they lost to him twice. I believe it was like 21-14.
Let
me just
so they were great. They were great games
21-14 in
when they played them already. So they were. I would say that they moved as close to a state championship without winning it or playing. Making it to AT&T as one could last season.
I'm looking at their final 2 playoff games. They played Fort Bend Marshall, beat them by 10, then lost to Richmond Randall 21-14 on December 7th. So that district was playing deep into November, into December.
That's a fun district.
Yeah, it is. That's one of the most underrated districts in the state, I'd say. All right, let's go to 4A now. I'm going to take it with another school that's new as a varsity program. I'm going Canyon West Plains out in West Texas because their 4th year as a varsity program, you'd be so hard-pressed to find another program that has this many 4-year varsity starters. So I'm going with experience here. And it starts off with Reed McCollum, the quarterback, 3,500 yards, 51 total touchdowns, a 4-sport athlete. Listen to this stat line from one of his wide receivers' powers. Kane White-Tinsley had 1,000 receiving yards and 9 interceptions on defense. Running back Slade Russell had 1,700 yards and 12 touchdowns. They returned so much, especially on the offensive skill positions. Let's get a team from West Texas to win the state championship in 4A. What do you think about that pick?
I like the pick, man, and they were like one of the surprise teams last year, right? Like that was a team that, I mean, they played. I feel like a lot of people thought above their weight class, but I think they have silenced their critics now, and they come back into next year as one of the favorites. And protecting the quarterback is Big Keegan Collins up front. He's already got offers from Florida Atlantic, Texas State, Texas Tech, UTEP, and UTSA. He's one of the state's more under the radar offensive line prospects, has good size, and is just mean.
Mm-hmm. It's okay. I know you got another school you want to talk about, though, in Class 4A. That this one, I'll be honest, I didn't think about them as much. Putting them, maybe that's because I already picked Frisco Lone Star. Hint,
okay,
hint, nudge,
that
nudge.
makes sense. Yeah, I get that. I'm going with Frisco Panther Creek. They've had two tremendous back-to-back years, and they have a program that I feel like is. I'm guessing that they'll classify up after.
It's coming.
Yeah, after this year, so they should have a lot of depth in that program as well. But they have superstar talent, and after they lost their quarterback from 2 seasons ago, I think that they were hitting the reset button a little bit. Yeah, they did. They were great, and they didn't really miss a beat, which was really impressive to see. But they have Jalen Lott, who's a two-way player, mostly considered as a wide receiver by a lot of the colleges, but can also play cornerback, has over 40 scholarship offers. He's the son of former Texas Longhorns legend James Lott, who is one of the best track athletes in Texas Longhorns history. Well, Jalen is also a great track athlete. He took home a gold medal at UIL State Track. And then a guy that you actually put me on, Carter. You went out to Frisco Panther Creek's game 2 years ago, early on in the 2023 season, and you called me afterwards and you said, "Hey, Greg, there's a guy over here at Panther Creek I think you should know about. His name's Donovan Webb." What do you like about Webb?
He's such a rangy safety. I like that he plays both wide receiver and defensive back. Then when I watch them play versus Alvarado, he's also willing to like stick his nose in and hit the running back. Like, so Alvarado was going in for a touchdown and Donovan Webb basically stripped the ball as it was coming out. That game 2 years ago, he had a pick six and was also playing wide receiver. He's also, his dad's one of the basketball coaches and a very tall man, so you know he was going to grow. And he looks jacked, dude.
Oh,
like,
he's a big dude. He was the DB MVP at the UA camp. Well, that's like that camp brings out all the stars, right? Like that's the big dog camp, and he's our number one safety now. Did you think he was going to be the number one safety?
No, I didn't think he was going to be the number one safety, but I thought he was a really good football player back then. And I was talking to the Frisco Panther Creek coaching staff before, and they had said that, you know, college recruiters from all across the country come around to see Jalen Lott, and they'll say, "Hey, by the way, like, can you watch film about this Donovan Webb guy?" And those recruiters will go and say, "How the heck have we never heard of this guy? Like, what is going on?" Now you're seeing that with Jalen Lott gets attention, but now Donovan Webb's got like Ohio State offers. Baylor
I think he's over 30 offers.
He's
now,
over 30 offers now. I know Baylor was the first like, oh crap offer. Like he's going to be huge, but that was all the way back in sophomore year. He's got like 30 offers.
Well, now he's got all the big NIL schools is basically how I consider it. Like these are the big money NIL schools, the guys that go chase the top players in the country and give them lucrative kind of deals or more lucrative type of situations because they're only recruiting guys that are going to be paid, right? Donovan Webb has put himself in that elite class of player, and he's one of my favorite players in this cycle.
All right, moving on down to 3A. Speaking of Power 4 commits and guys getting a lot of offers, this one's going to shock some people. I'm picking Hitchcock to win their first state championship ever as a program, and I know that sounds crazy. Lloyd Jones has gone to Texas Tech, Kelshawn Johnson to Texas A&M, but you got to look at Class 3A as a whole, guys. And Malakoff off a 31-game winning streak that ended in the state championship game, Columbus, both those teams are decimated now with departing senior classes. So there's not going to be as many D1 commits in this region as a whole. And I think Hitchcock brings so much back on defense with Brian Harris, who had 5 interceptions last year and 3 pick sixes. And then the defensive lineman, DeMarcus Blackman, defensive lineman of the year, Jamarian Cooper led the team in sacks. I like all the returning guys they have on defense that can help an offense replacing the quarterback and the wide receiver kind of get acclimated in district. Columbus and Hitchcock, though, once again, going to be game of the year in 3A this year.
They have one of the top up-and-coming young players in Cameron Taylor.
Okay.
He's one of the athletes on their team, 5'9", 165 pounds. A really good player as a freshman, a guy that I think that we're going to be tracking pretty closely. But I love this pick because I feel like a doubted-on Hitchcock team is like the most dangerous Hitchcock team, and Craig Smith has done a tremendous job down there with that talent. But I'm interested to see, like, now that people are probably sleeping on them.
Yep.
A little bit what this year will be like. They're just so fun because of the competitiveness.
Well, originally when I was doing this article, it started as like a don't sleep on these teams.
Yeah.
Like, don't be fooled, don't sleep on these teams. So Hitchcock would have been either way. It changed into here's the first state championship that these programs are going to win, but Hitchcock would have been on this either way. So I think they're going to be really good.
Did you get to the point in the article where you were like, oh, these teams that don't sleep on, they're also like state championship contenders?
Yeah. I think one of my first picks for the don't sleep on was like Lake Travis, and I talked to Tepper. He was like, you cannot put Lake Travis as don't sleep on them. 5-time state champion.
I went with the alternate in this one, and I picked I'm going to go with Palestine Westwood because of the Kavian Bryant.
I like it.
The Kavian Bryant factor. They were really close. I felt like last year they had John Denman on the team to complement him as a great running back who dealt with some injuries last year. I don't know if everybody was well aware that he really had to play through some nagging stuff that most running backs wouldn't probably play through these injuries. Yeah. But they were a state championship contender, so he let it loose for his team. But Bryant coming back next year, I think he's clearly the best player in 3A, probably.
Oh, 100%. He's got like 5 basketball offers, too. Might be the best basketball player in 3A.
Yeah, so he's got an offer in basketball from Texas and a football offer from Texas A&M. So it tells you like the type of talent, type of athlete that he is. If there's one guy that you can just look to and say, he could win us a state championship because he's him. Mm-hmm. He's him.
He is him. And at the quarterback, those are one of the few positions where it's like, one guy can get you far into the playoffs, basically. Like, I don't know, maybe if they can't win USA championship, they're going to give you a puncher's chance.
Well, I don't want to say that and give the impression that Westwood doesn't have players around him because they do. I'm just saying
yes,
he could be him, that type of guy, because they also, like Kaysen Dial is a freak show at the 3A level. He's one of the best players in 3A. David Russell is another tremendous player there. They've got skill talent around him, and they've got players who are good at multiple spots. Westwood's coming this year.
Rounding it out with 2A, I'm going back to West Texas, and I'm saying Groover. Now, they were there in 2019, I believe. Jalen Conyers now going into the NFL draft. He set a record of Class 2A with like 200-something receiving yards, but didn't turn out in their favor against a Mart team that was stacked. Kurt Haberther, in his first 2 years with the school, 2 district championships, 24-4 in 2 years. I love their starting quarterback, returning guy. Briggs Satterfield had 4,000 total yards, 55 touchdowns, was the leading passer and rusher for that team. And 2 guys in Victor Flores and Emmanuel Valverde who had over 115 tackles. The one interesting piece is going to be how does the offensive line develop, but they've got the linebackers and the skill position guys, I think, to make a deep run once again. And I'm rocking with Kurt because 24-4 in 2 years, that ain't too shabby.
Yeah, that's pretty good numbers there that Groover has put up the last couple seasons. And I like your pick, man, just because of the guys that you mentioned and Dax Conyers.
Oh, we got Jalen Conyers' brother on there.
Dax Conyers.
How many Conyers are there?
I don't know, man, but I mean, when you have a Conyers and you're playing at Groover, it's like somebody, because Jalen's plenty entertaining too. So my expectations are pretty high.
Yes, yeah.
So
it'll be exciting to watch that.
I'm going with Beckville as my sleeper pick, and that's again, I'm going to put it on Jordan Prince this year, who's one of my favorite players in 2A ball. He's the younger brother of Texas Tech's Jacoby Williams, and he's been playing on the team as a freshman. We actually all went out back in, I guess it was the 2022 season, to see Terry Bussey, and he was already starting for Beckville and playing for Beckville as a freshman in that game. So he's been on the radar for a while. It'd be cool to see them win a state championship. And I think their coach over there at Beckville, has just done a tremendous job. Cody Ross has been one of the top coaches. Their record has been impeccable over the last 3 years, and I think this could be their year. So I'm going with the school out there in East Texas.
So, guys, if you're having conversations with fellow Texas high school football pundits, here's a sleeper team, couple sleeper teams to throw out. Like, I think this could be the year they do it. So do not be fooled about these Texas high school football programs in 2025. Powers, thank you so much for joining us.
That was fun, man. We done a couple of fun segments on Texas football today, so thanks for having me on.
Always will have you on whenever we're here. So when we come back, I'm going to be talking about the 5 longest tenured head coaches from an article I had that came out today. You don't want to miss it. VNA, let's roll this ad break and get on back here.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Potter, Executive Director of Be Well Texas. Too many people are struggling alone these days, and alcohol and drug deaths are increasing. We started Be Well Texas to offer high-quality, science-based addiction treatment and recovery services anywhere, even at home. We provide compassionate, caring support virtually or in person. In many cases, there is no cost for treatment if you don't have insurance. Really. Welcome to Be Well Texas. We're glad you're here.
30-yard line, the 20, the 10, touchdown!
Hey DFW residents, get your grocery essentials in minutes, not hours or days, with Wing Drone Delivery. Forget about last-minute trips to the store when you need things like cereal for breakfast before school, medicine for a cold, or snacks for a movie night. Wings drones get you quick, no-contact delivery in as fast as 15 minutes. Say goodbye to last-minute grocery runs and say hello to more of your valuable time. Sign up today.
Joined out here by Hayden Gunner at Denton High School. Man, it's a big day for you. You got your decision coming right now.
After a lot of thinking, with the family talking, stressing out.
Let's see exactly where Malik Hawkins is going to be heading.
First off, I want to start by thanking God. Without him, I wouldn't be anything. I wouldn't be blessed with all these opportunities.
He's got 5 schools he's choosing between. We're about to find out who it's going to be. Got your teammates, coaches, family, friends surrounding you, so you couldn't have a bigger stage right here to announce it on. So without further ado, we're going to go to the man right here, Kobe Foreman. Who's it going to be?
I will be attending.
I'll be committed to the University of Oklahoma.
University of Texas A&M.
Stanford University.
The University of Oklahoma.
Every legend starts with a vision. For Dave Campbell, that vision was clear. Tell the story of Texas football like never before. In 1960, he built something no one had before, a magazine that became the Bible of Texas football. Coaches, players, and fans didn't just read it, they lived by it. His words shaped the game. His vision built a legacy. And his name? It will always be written in the story of Texas football. Dave Campbell's Texas Football, where legends begin.
Welcome back in. Hello, testing. You hear me, VNA?
There we go.
Sweet. Welcome back in to Texas football today. I'm your host, Carter Yates, and we just talked about some programs, some new up-and-comers. I want to switch it over and talk about coaches who have been doing this for a long time and doing it at a high level. It is the 5 longest tenured Texas high school football programs, and that's going to do it for Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday.
Let's do it.
Math Tuesday. Math Tuesday.
This is my first Math Tuesday. I'm excited.
We didn't do it last Thursday, so.
Well, now I got some numbies in today, just slid across my desk about the 5 longest tenured head coaches. I thought perfect for Math Tuesday.
Let's go.
Let's start with Denny Faith at Albany. So he's coached for 38 years. By the way, okay, I should have prefaced this before, but this is longest tenured at a single high school, right? So there are coaches, and we'll get to them, who have coached for longer than Denny Faith as a head coach, but his 38 years at Albany is the longest at a single school. He needs to coach 5 more years there to tie Bob Shelton at Buda Hayes. And I think he can do it. Like, they talked to him after he went back-to-back, 22 and 23, and they're like, okay, is this it, Denny? Are you retired? And that would have been the perfect time for him to retire, but he is still, like, he's got the inspiration to coach. He does it for the kids. Like, he's an Albany man through and through. His name's on the stadium. I think he's going to be doing it for a while here. They have won all but one district title since 2008. So Denny Faith is the leader at 38 years. Now another coach who just won his first state championship. I know Denny Faith, it took him about 4 times to win his first one. Larry Hill, Smithson Valley, won his first state championship in 5 attempts. He's been there 32 years. Larry Hill is so synonymous with Smithson Valley. Smithson Valley is not a town. It is just a school north of San Antonio. And he, since he got there in 1992, has made it revolve the community and neighborhoods around this high school. So they were 45, 120, and 5 all time when he took over. And then since 1993, they finished 500 or better for 31 consecutive years. I wrote a story about Larry Hill. He's got some legendary stories about his coaching prowess, how, you know, he and his family one time went on a cruise and he took game tape to watch on that cruise.
Oh, wow.
He's a guy who loves ball. So one of my favorite type of dudes. Larry Hill, Smithson Valley, 32 years. Okay, the team he just beat in the state championship, Randy Allen at Highland Park, has been there for 26 years. So this is where that earlier disclaimer came in, because Randy Allen has been a head coach for 44 years, which is the longest active of any Texas high school football coach, but he's done it at Bollinger, Brownwood, Abilene, Cooper. If you took his 90 playoff wins, DNA, he would have 9 more regular seasons having coached, because regular seasons are 10 games. So He's got 90 playoff wins. His 32 district championships are the most in Texas high school football history. He is inching up on Phil Donaher at Cal Allen for both the most all-time wins and the most playoff wins. I think he's closest to most playoff wins because Donaher had 93. And I was just reading before we got on air a Dallas Morning News piece from Michael Florick, because I was wondering, when did Randy Allen get that fedora, that classic fedora? Yeah. He started wearing it in 1999, the year Tom Landry died, to honor him, and then switched back to a baseball cap that next season. Then they lost to a really bad Lancaster team, so he said, screw it, I'm going back to the fedora.
Oh, wow.
He's worn it ever since. I'm already on record. I love when coaches dress up. Like watching March Madness when Rick Pitino and John Calipari came out in the suits. I thought it was awesome. I love how Randy Allen still rocks a fedora. Yeah. I wish more coaches did it, but also you got to have a certain type of style and pedigree to rock the fedora. Yeah. So Randy Allen, Highland Park, 26 years. Rounding it out at number 4, number 5. Number 4, Scott Brooks at Canutillo. He's been there 26 years. I see so many similarities between this Canutillo program and Boise State. 1, because they have the blue turf, but 2, because they win in areas and classifications where you're not used to seeing consistent success. And both Canutillo and Boise State have had consistent success. It's all credit to Scott Brooks. Canutillo, west of El Paso, they had one 10-win season from 1960 to 2006. Brooks has had 5 since then. So just a consistent winner out there as far west as you can get in West Texas. And rounding it out, Richard Barrett at Kennedale. Has been there 24 years. He had a 23-year streak over 500 and a 12-year district championship streak that were both snapped, unfortunately, this year with a 6-6 record. But I love Kennedale because I love that wing T offense they have. I was reading a story from the Dallas Morning News, and I forget who wrote it, but Richard Barrett, his coaching tree, when they play his former coaches, they say, like, we can almost call the plays he's going to run because he hasn't switched the offense, but you can call the plays, but you can't stop the plays is the issue when you play Kennedale. So I know 6-6 record this year does not diminish what that school has done west of Fort Worth. So many guys who've been doing it for decades in Texas high school football. It's really cool to check in with them. That'll do it for Math Tuesday, guys. My first ever Math Tuesday.
Let's freaking go. That was awesome. The numbies were in. Numbies are in.
Well, thank you so much, y'all, for tuning in to Texas Football Today, your favorite mediocre local internet show. Whether you were tuning in live on YouTube or supporting us wherever you get your podcasts, we do appreciate you. For Vianney Moreno, our producer, making me sound all nice and purty, I'm your temporary host, Carter Yates, and we will see you back on Monday.
Bye-bye.